with something. And then when you're in this thing, it's going to get pretty stuffy with a fire. So what they did is they built a little shaft in the rear that picked up an airflow, and then that airflow drops, it sinks into the back passageway, and then comes out of a large opening in the side of the Kiva wall. It doesn't go directly across the fire pit because you have a deflector wall dividing that airflow from the back to across the front of that fire pit. And then the fire itself is drawing that airflow through, and then it's coming back up. Pretty clever. And then finally what happens according to Pueblo tradition, and again, cautionary red flag, I don't know if they're believing quite the same thing, but traditionally then the spirit of that departed loved one goes back through the series of Kiva levels, through the spirit hole, and now that departed loved one becomes a go-between between you, the living, and the gods above. But your mortal remains, your skeletal remains, are going to stay right here. Where were they? Again, out in the front forward slope, or in a back area where the architecture did not fill up that spot in the back of the rock shelter. We call those OAs, or open areas. And then we also found bodies buried underneath the floors of rooms, above ground rooms, and we also found calcined bone and ash, which indicates they also cremated along with inhumations. Now that doesn't necessarily have to have a negative connotation. Primarily, as far as we know, most of the bodies were inhumated, put in the ground, but we only have, over a time period between the mid-500s to 1300 AD, we've only uncovered a total of maybe a little under 2,000 bones that have been kind of unconnected, but then 400 full remains. But you'd think you'd find more, so cremation may be one of the reasons why. So your life has come to an end. I've taken you from cradle to grave and beyond. The people who are left have to carry the torch. But you know what, folks? These folks would finally realize that they can't maintain their posture here anymore. And guys, just because they're living in a house of stone, don't think that they can't get up and move. They're going to follow the weather patterns, and they're going to do things the way a Plains Indian would follow a buffalo. Because if you stay in one spot and you're beginning to have a water tank that's drying up, guys, that's going to be like leaning into a left hook. Why would you do that? No, you're not going to do that. You're going to get up and move to areas where you see maybe there's a little bit more rainfall. And hopefully, maybe you can come back, although for these people that wasn't the case. You're going to have to get into the reading. I can only cover so much in a 60-minute time frame.